All right, what is up, everybody? Divine Hood here, coming at you with a third attempt at a live stream here, checking out the Bitcoin and the crypto markets. Welcome in. Sorry about that, guys. My last stream went down. We have a pretty bad thunderstorm going on here, and the internet cut out. It is back. I am back, and we can continue on. We were just about to go into some altcoins. So I will go into some of the altcoins that were requested in the chat before we got cut off. This is a new live stream, and I can see not many people are here. So if you are here in the chat and you have a request on an altcoin that you want us to look at, just go ahead and post that in the chat and we can look at that altcoin. But I'm going to go ahead and continue here with the altcoins. And first we'll go into XRP. Live trading, we can do some live trading if we get a live trade. The thing is, if you don't get a live trade, you don't force trades just because you're live. So if we have an opportunity for a setup that comes, we could take that setup. But we are not going to force a trade just because we are live. Anyways, guys, going into XRP. So I want to go ahead and zoom out onto the daily chart. And we're going to talk about XRP. And XRP has been in a bit of a coiling move, a bit of a coil since we exploded. You can see that XRP for years on the daily time frame, we were ranging in this accumulation zone down in this area here, followed by a big, huge impulse to the upside, breaking up to new all-time highs. And since early December, we have been ranging sideways within this range. And this is the important range to look at now. Now that XRP has busted up to new levels to find a new range here. And so what we need to pay attention to on XRP is just analyzing this range, analyzing what's happened since our bigger impulse to the upside completed here. And now we are looking to see if XRP is going to continue to break up to new levels of price discovery, or if we are going to get that bigger retrace and that bigger dump to the downside. So if you guys have been paying attention to any of my YouTube videos for the past few weeks, we have been looking at XRP coming up to this naked monthly point of control, to a swing failure pattern of our internal highs into that naked monthly point of control. It also happens to be at the top of our descending channel. Now, this descending channel, I pulled all the way back here from these two lower highs, and at first I had the bottom of the descending channel connected to these not these lows down here. It was these lows here, and we were looking at trading within this channel. But then in early February, when we had that giant dump to the downside, we went ahead and we connected that channel to the bottom of the dump, and this has been our corrective price action ever since we have topped out on XRP. And you could see the last time we came up to the top of that channel, which also happened to be the value area high of our 7-month long range. If we go ahead and turn on that large range, you can see it was the value area high. It was the top of the channel. We were looking for shorts up in that area, potential swing short opportunity, where if we did reject from the value area high, we would eventually grind our way down to the value area low, and we could look for buys around the value area low. We did end up getting that trade playing out and even made kind of a new low below that value area low. But since then, we have busted back up into the value area, reclaiming that value area, back tested it as support, and we're continuing to push to the upside here, about to break out of our bigger descending channel. And we could see a fake out of this descending channel up to our point of control and our anchored VWAP from the all-time highs, and we could see a rejection back with inside, which would be a very bearish sign for me, and a sign we could drop much lower, or we're going to see follow through in a big explosion on XRP to the upside. So one of the things I would like to say on a larger macro level, I am bullish on XRP. After our big impulse to the upside, huge 600% move to the upside or more, what happened on XRP is we did top out, and we were looking at our macro 382 fib level. So the reason why this macro 382 fib level is important, because your 382 will act as support or resistance in a strong trend. Well, this trend that we saw, this move to the upside from around what was that, 48 cents, 49 cents, all the way up to new all-time highs, was a very powerful and very strong trend. So if we expect this trend to continue, then on the corrective move that we're seeing, we want to see a nice strong bounce from our 0.382 fib level and a continuation, ultimately a breakout and continuation to the upside. Well, you can see after our big dump that we saw early February, we created some liquidity, some new range lows we broke these range lows in here, created some new range lows, and we were looking to come take out those range lows from the flash crash into our 0.382, where you could look for a swing long opportunity from that 0.382. And if we reclaimed back inside that volume profile, you could see a move to the top of the channel, to the top of the volume profile. So we got that move from the 382. What this tells me is that overall, XRP is looking more bullish on a macro level, looking to break out to new levels of price discovery. Since we rejected from the value area high and from the top of our channel, we have moved down to the value area low. But the important thing was, after seeing a deviation of the value area low, we were able to reclaim the value area low, flip it to support, and continue up to our next major resistance area. Now, I'm going to zoom in on the chart. We'll go on to the 4-hour chart, and I want to talk about where that resistance area it was, because I've been looking at this area of resistance for a few weeks now. You can see we had a naked monthly point of control. This naked monthly point of control was from like 2 or 3 months ago, and it was at 234.2. We had come up and barely front ran that naked monthly point of control and then saw a pretty harsh rejection to the downside. Then we had come up for a second time. I was looking for the swing failure pattern of our prior highs into our naked monthly point of control for a nice short opportunity. We did not get the swing failure pattern, so I did not enter short here. And then sure enough, we did break down and make new lows. Now that left 2 semi-equal highs with liquidity resting above those highs into our key naked monthly point of control. Well, finally, after kind of grinding back with inside the value area, back testing the value area low, flipping it to support, and continuing in this ascending wedge here, rising wedge, whatever you want to call it, or channel, we have finally come up on this Monday, earlier this week, and we had hit into our naked monthly point of control, seeing the swing failure pattern of our semi-equal highs into our naked monthly point of control, finally hitting that naked monthly point of control, and then seeing a pretty nice dump from there. And I am short from around that 233 area. Already TP1'd, my stop loss is already at break even, so it's a guaranteed win of a trade. But we could see XRP break down one more time. If we do reject in this local area here, we could drop. We have local support, and then we have a more macro support level that we could be looking at. So if this rising wedge does start to break down, then we really need to kind of pay attention. Let's do this here. We'll pull this right there. Rising wedge or ascending channel, whatever you want to call it, we're in a bullish movement to the upside. But this move, if we go ahead and turn on the volume here and we look at our volume, it does look pretty, not the worst. Okay, the volume does not look the worst here. But as we've been moving up, you can see volume for the most part was pretty low, except for when we peaked at the highs. Oftentimes these corrective moves end with a high amount of volume, and then you could see that bigger break to the downside. So one of the things that I am personally looking at and following on XRP is this ascending channel and then the bigger descending channel. Let me go ahead and make that a little bit thicker, and I will turn this channel blue so you guys can see the difference here. And we are squeezing. We are starting to squeeze between this ascending channel trend line of support and the bigger descending channel resistance. Now we can go ahead and delete the SFP because we SFP'd that, and we can delete this naked monthly point of control because we did finally hit into that. As far as our bigger range goes, our range over the last 7 months of XRP, since we've kind of all-time high and been ranging sideways, this range here, you can see that now that we're back inside the volume profile and we've flipped the value area low to support, we do have a high probability to make our way up to the point of control. Now, the point of control is in very close confluence with our anchored VWAP from the all-time highs. As long as we are below that anchored VWAP from the all-time highs, it's going to be acting as a resistance, and it is going to maybe suggest that XRP has more of a correction to the downside to come. But if we can flip this point of control, this macro point of control, and this anchored VWAP, break out of this channel and flip it to support, then we have a high probability of working our way up to the value area high around 257, or breaking up to much, much higher levels here, where we could see XRP possibly even make new all-time highs and continue to much higher levels of price discovery. So the key things that I'm looking at on the chart right now is this ascending channel trend, because this has been our trend pretty much since for a few weeks here now. Since June 22nd here, we've kind of been trending back up within this channel, and you can see we're starting to squeeze very, very tightly between our descending channel and our ascending channel, and a big move should be coming soon for XRP. The liquidity grab and then the dump back with inside the channel, because that was also the top of the descending channel, excuse me. That was also the top of the pink descending channel. If we do reject from this area again and start to break this blue trend line, then we could see a much bigger flush to the downside. So let's go ahead and pull our fib from the lows to our highs, and you can see here, where is our key macro golden pocket pull of the last few weeks? It is going to be coming in right on top of our value area low of the range. And I do suspect that if we do end up rejecting here and losing that blue trend line, yes, we could bounce from local support, only to come up and bearishly backtest and then continue to drop all the way down to our macro golden pocket in confluence with our value area low, where this could be a really great long opportunity to look for a breakout of that bigger trend, bigger descending channel, and a break up to new all-time highs, or at least up to the value area high around 257. If we look at Market Cipher B and NAMI, we are not really seeing any bear divs here on the 4-hour chart, because this is a lower high. We did just reject from our golden pocket 786 area. So after taking our liquidity up here at the naked monthly point of control, if we pull a fib from the highs of Monday to our lows from Monday, yesterday, you can see that we are pretty much rejecting from that golden pocket 786 area. This is our area where if we're going to put in a lower high and start to break down, then this is the area where we would suspect that Bitcoin would reject from this, XRP would reject from this general area, and we could end up rolling over, breaking down and coming down to local support levels, but ultimately working our way down possibly to our macro golden pocket in confluence with that macro value area low. If we look at our 1-hour chart here, we were putting in some bear divs, higher highs on the price action, lower highs on the momentum waves, and also with NAMI, those bear divs were coming in here. Money flow, bear divs as well on NAMI, coming up into that liquidity grab, into that naked monthly point of control. This is why I did go short on XRP as a hedge, a short hedge on XRP in case we do dump down all the way down to 207. In that case, I will be looking for potential swing long opportunities at 207. But XRP is just starting to coil and squeeze. And we are going to make a decision soon whether we're going to break this bigger ascending bullish trend that we've been in for the last 2 weeks to the downside, or we are going to break above our descending channel, breaking up, possibly rejecting, seeing a fake out and rejecting from the point of control and coming back in, or seeing that bigger break to the upside, where then we could eventually come up to test the value area high of our macro range and potentially see a much bigger breakout to the upside. Very, very locally, I am looking at a couple levels of support. So if you can see this green box here, it is going to be our golden pocket. If we pull a golden pocket from the lows of last Friday to our highs that we made today, not that one, excuse me. Let's see, where was it? Oh, this guy down here. Yeah, from the lows of July 1st, from last Tuesday, from last week's lows, to our new highs that we made, you can see that golden pocket is coming in right around 222 to 221. If we turn on our daily levels, you can see we have a daily level in pretty much perfect confluence with that 0.65 of the golden pocket. And we also do have a fresh naked weekly point of control in that box of support. So this box of support is an absolute area of support. I would be looking for at least a potential scalp long opportunity. We would be changing some local market structure, bearishly, yes, of course, but I would look for at least a push up to bearishly backtest this ascending trend of the last few weeks. And if we start to reject from there, then you could look for a TP and a flip to short to potentially work your way eventually down to your macro golden pocket. Overall, I would say XRP is looking like it does want to break out. Let's go ahead and turn off some of these levels. Let me clean up this chart just a little bit here. We'll turn this off. And let's zoom out onto the weekly time frame here. On the weekly time frame, you can see that we have bottomed out on our weekly momentum wave, and our money flow is curving to the upside. We also did print on our last lows a hidden bull div on the weekly. Two hidden bull divs on the two lows on the weekly time frame, showing to me that XRP is looking to this price action that we've been seeing for the past 6 or 7 months is more corrective price action before ultimately breaking out and continuing up not only to new all-time highs, but possibly much, much higher up to new levels of price discovery. So weekly looks pretty good. If we zoom in on to the 2-day chart, 2-day chart, money flow is just crossing over into the green here, and we were printing locally some bull divs on NAMI here on the 2-day chart coming into those lows. That low is also a key low. If we take our Fibonacci from the range lows up to those rejection highs, you can see that general area where we did bounce was our golden pocket 786 area, making a higher low on macro price action, and now we could see continuation to the upside. 1-day chart looking pretty good here. Now this is the part that gets a little bit concerning here. Our momentum wave does look very toppy here, and you can see our money flow is now starting to come out here, and we are at the top of our descending channel. We could see another rejection from this descending channel to roll over and come back down to 207. Let me get rid of that one. 207 is our support level where we could be looking, if we are going to reject here, to come down to bounce from our value area low and then see that big breakout here. That 207 area really does need to hold. We also have some local internal liquidity that is down in that area that would be really nice to take. So daily time frame is showing a bit of concern here, but if we do zoom in on some of the 8-hour chart, 8-hour money flow just crossing over into the green. We did print a green dot today on the daily on the 8-hour time frame. The one thing that is concerning to me is the liquidity grab. So that internal liquidity grab of our semi-equal highs into a naked monthly point of control. And that naked monthly point of control was a very key naked monthly point of control. If you see, we had our two equal highs here, a third semi-equal high, coming up and grabbing this liquidity into that naked monthly and then dropping back within the channel, rejecting from a lower high. This is where it could get ugly locally for XRP, and we could roll over and start to break our ascending trend to the downside. So let's zoom in here on the 1-hour chart, and our area of support that we really, really don't want to lose is going to be around 225 to 226. If we start to lose 225.7, 226, we could see, we'll probably see a quick flush down to 222, where we have our local support level being that daily, that naked weekly, and a local golden pocket. And then if we just get a small bounce from this area and then reject, I do expect us to continue to work our way down to 207, where we would absolutely want to see 207 hold as support, and this could be a great swing long opportunity to push up. But that's honestly about it, guys. I'm not watching really anything too much else on XRP. We do have other levels, of course. We have a weekly that's coming in a little bit below that golden pocket, and then we have a weekly right around our POC of our macro range. So we do need to watch for rejection in this general area. If we're going to see a fake out of the channel just to come up into this area, reject, and then if we fall back in, I would expect a much bigger drop to the downside. Okay, and then yeah, we do have because of this stair step pattern that we're creating here, we do have a bunch of fresh daily levels that we need to be paying attention to on the charts. But you can see a lot of these daily levels don't have much confluence with inside them other than that daily level that's there. Like if we pull a golden pocket from our lower high here to this high, yeah, that golden pocket's going to be there. And then let's pull one more from this low. Okay. So I guess this daily is also going to be important at 217 because we do have another more macro, a bigger golden pocket there. Anytime we break, first of all, let me just change this to just golden pocket. Anytime we break an ascending channel to the downside like this, you'll oftentimes come for the liquidity of at least the second pivot of that channel. Now you can see the second pivot of that channel is these lows here around 220. So I would expect us to come down, flush the liquidity into 217, where we do have our daily and our larger golden pocket. So we have some areas where we can expect bounces. This would be our next area. In between there, I am not looking for anything. If we break this ascending channel to the downside, first level of support I would be looking at is our daily in confluence with the naked weekly point of control and a golden pocket. And then if we reject and we could come down to the next one, we could see a bounce from this area just to come up, reject, and then we could work our stair step way our down. But we could look for at least scalp long opportunities in these areas. Okay, let me check the chat here, but that's about all I got for XRP, guys. I'm not looking to trade this too much. Looking for a potential breakout of this area, this 230 to 232 area to about 234. And if we break out of that, I do think we're coming up to our 241 to 242 area of resistance, which is that weekly in confluence with our point of control. ETH and SUI. Yes, we can go over ETH and SUI. What's up, R Pink? It's good to see you, man. Thank you for joining. We'll look at ICP as well. Yeah, a webcam. I know. I've thought about the webcam before, and eventually that probably is going to be coming in the future. But for now, I do not want to do webcam. You know, the crypto space does still have a lot of, I guess, scammers and things like that, and it's sometimes it is better to be safe and take less views. So let's just say that part. Okay, let's go into Ethereum. And I will zoom out onto the daily time frame at first. Okay, guys, so one of the key things with Ethereum, let me hide some of the stuff on the chart here so that we can get a clear. All right, with Ethereum, on a more macro time frame. Now, I'm going to cover this. If you guys have watched my YouTube videos in the past couple of days, this might be a little bit of review. But for the entire bull market, since the bear market lows, Ethereum has been in this logarithmic ascending channel in a bullish structure, making higher highs and higher lows on the weekly time frame or on larger time frames. And we have moved up from about $900 all the way up to new cycle highs of about $4,100. And after rejecting from the swing failure pattern of the cycle highs, we started to lose the midline. You can see this midline was acting as support all through here. Lost the midline, bearishly backtested that midline. Of course, we did chop around in the bearish pitchfork band, which we often chop in these bands for weeks at a time. We form ranges. We chopped around in the band. We lost the band and came to the bottom of the channel. Now, if you guys were paying attention to my videos around this time, I was warning of a bigger breakdown where Ethereum could break its entire bull market trend. This entire trend of the bull market was about to break down, and if we did break it, we could see a much bigger flush down to make new lows for this bull cycle. And sure enough, what happened is because of this wick that we had in early February, I had a bias that we were going to break this channel down and come grab the liquidity down there. Well, we did end up breaking the bull market trend, this pink trend, the bull market trend down, and we ended up grinding our way down through the pitchfork, losing the midline, back testing the midline, rejecting, coming down to the bottom of the band. We got a nice bounce from the bottom of the band, but ultimately made a lower high and then continued all the way down to the bottom of the pitchfork. Now, once we got to the bottom of the pitchfork, we did see some nice bottoming price action, nice buying price action, and you can see we pushed up to backtest that band. The first time we hit into that band, which was support, now flipping into resistance, we did get a rejection, but we formed a sideways range and was able to push above it. We pushed above the band. We even came back down and backtested the band, confirming a flip to support, and then we skyrocketed up to the upper band. Now, just like you form ranges within these bands, you saw we formed a range up in here. We formed a range a little bit multiple times in the bands, the upper lower band. You can see that we have been forming a range for about 2 months now in the upper band. Let me go ahead and hide this volume profile real quick so you can see that better. Forming a range, and many times we've attempted to break out of this band, even attempting to get above it. For a bit here, we saw a bit of a failed auction of the breakout of this range, dropping back down and holding our anchored VWAP from the lows as support, which was a key sign. So first of all, once we were able to get above the midline, we were able to break above the anchored VWAP from this cycle's highs. That is showing a sign of strength for Ethereum, because if Ethereum was going to remain bearish in a bearish trend, making overall lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, then we would expect to reject from the volume weighted average price of this downtrend of the cycle highs. And we did not. We were able to get back above it, and you can see on the daily for many times we were holding that anchored VWAP as support, attempting to break up to more macro levels of resistance. Well, eventually, because of some of the fear that was created, we did lose that, came down, and we backtested our uptrend anchored VWAP and overall held that as support. It was also a key golden pocket. If we take a golden pocket pull, let me get rid of these squiggles, and we look from our last range lows up to our new highs, you can see where did we bounce? Golden pocket, anchored VWAP. Yes, we did wick past the anchored VWAP to hit that golden pocket, but overall showing that the trend on Ethereum is more macro bullish. Higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, and now are we about to break up to a higher high here on Ethereum? Well, we have gotten back inside our range. If we look at the range for the past 2 months, let me go ahead and turn that range back on. If we look at our range for the past 2 months, we lost the value area low, came to our support level, saw a strong buy reaction from our support level, and was able to break back inside this volume profile. Let's go ahead and zoom in now onto the 4-hour chart. Breaking back inside this volume profile, you could see our anchored VWAP that was acting as support for 1.5 months now flipped to resistance in this area. But finally, over last week, we were able to break back within the volume profile, breaking even above our point of control, and now our point of control is holding as support. You can see just earlier yesterday, we came down, tested that point of control, which is also the pitchfork band. You can see our pitchfork band is getting lower and lower with time. And what used to be acting as resistance, is now trying to be flipped locally into support. This is a bullish sign for Ethereum, a sign that Ethereum could break out and continue at least breaking up to the value area high, maybe taking these internal highs here. So I'm going to be watching for that SFP of 2682-ish. Let's just say 2682. Our next level of resistance that I'm going to be watching on Ethereum is that guy there. This general area. Because if we do confirm a swing failure pattern of those internal highs and then fall back underneath the value area high, we could probably expect a rotation back down to our point of control, which is going to be in confluence with the back test of the band again. But if we can break out of this volume profile, then I do think we can see a move all the way up to about 3,000 to 3,100. Now, let's go ahead and hide some of this more local price action, and I'll explain why this 3,000 to 3,100 area is such a crucial area of resistance for Ethereum. If we zoom out to look at the larger trend, so let's go back onto our daily time frame. We know that this trend was the entire trend. Let me hide this pitchfork as well. So we know that this trend here, let me just do 2-day chart so we can see this better, was the entire trend of the bull market. It finally broke to the downside, and once it broke, we saw some extreme follow through on Ethereum down. Now, after you lose a key trend, especially a multi-year long trend like this, to the downside, oftentimes you will come back up to backtest that trend, and if you backtest that trend and you reject, then you could expect overall to continue the bearish trend of making, lower low, lower high, lower low, a more macro bearish price action. Now, if we look at our golden pocket, if we pull a golden pocket from the cycle highs of 4,100 down to our lows that we made, where is our macro golden pocket coming in? It's coming in right at the bearish backtest of that multi-year trend. Also, we do have some other key levels there. If we turn on a weekly levels, we have a weekly level that's just above that. But if we turn on our naked weekly points of control, not naked monthly, naked weekly points of control, you can see that we also have a naked weekly point of control that's in that box of resistance. So this general area here is the area where I think Ethereum is looking like right now that it's going to be able to break up to that area. And this area is going to be our really, really key area, whether we are going to confirm a rejection and a potential swing short opportunity or a break back within our bull market trend and continue pushing up to higher levels, possibly even coming up to make new cycle highs. But more locally, if we zoom in more locally, let's just go on to the 2-hour chart. Ethereum is back within its 2-month long range. We have taken out the liquidity of the lows of the range, which if you guys were watching my past videos, I was looking to come take out this liquidity for weeks. We finally took out that liquidity, and now we are pushing back up within our range, even breaking above the point of control, which yesterday held as support, and now we're pushing up. So I do expect a move locally to come up to that value area high and that internal liquidity grabbing the internal liquidity, this internal liquidity here into the value area high. And if we do see a rejection there, we can look for a short there. If not, I do think we are eventually going to break up to that 3,100 area. There is going to be some resistance before then, but if we take our golden pocket from the highs of our 2-month range here to the lows of our 2-month range, you can see we are pretty much, well, we're at our golden pocket, but we've already tested it once. We've already rejected from it once, so it's weaker now. You can see the first time we tested it and rejected was right here. So now after making another higher low on the charts, second test of it, little rejection. Now we're testing it again. If we can close our daily candle actually above 2611 or 2612-ish, then I think that it's almost guaranteed that we work our way up to that next area, which is going to be the SFP around 2682. If we do not SFP this, if we do not just come up, grab liquidity, and fall back within the range, then we are probably going to see a bigger breakout and continuation to the upside to come take out our highs here. And let's go ahead and turn on that pitchfork. You can see that our next major pitchfork level, we would be breaking our band, flipping our band to support. I do think that we will come up at least to about that 2980-ish level where the top of the pitchfork is. But with the top of the pitchfork, our macro bearish pitchfork being so close to our resistance just above, the general area we need to be looking at is this general area here, because we could see, a break up to this, a wick up to this area, and then close our daily candle body at the top of the pitchfork and then roll over if we're going to roll over. But ultimately, Ethereum is looking pretty good here. Like if we look at our momentum waves, our momentum indicators, money flow just crossing over into the green here on both of these. We did print a hidden bull div signal on the lows yesterday, flipping that POC to support and holding it as support. To me, it looks like all indications are that Ethereum is going to continue up to at least take out these internal highs. We'll have to see how it reacts once it gets there. If we see a swing failure pattern, I will look for a short. If we do not see a swing failure pattern, then we are going to keep busting up to new levels. I think overall, Ethereum does look more bullish. If we zoom out, let's go on to the 8-hour time frame. Money flow on the 8-hour time frame looking nice and bullish here, and no real bear divs on the chart yet. We did have a hidden bear signal that printed a couple days ago, but that hidden bear div signal gave us that little push down to backtest the POC. We held the backtest of the POC, which is bullish. And so all indications are that we're going to work our way up to the value area high of that range, of our 2-month long range. Value area high, liquidity grab. If we look at this same Fibonacci pole, let's turn on our 786. Yeah, 786 is going to be even higher than that. So I would suspect that if we're going to reject, it's going to be from this liquidity grab. If not, we are probably going to break up to come take out our range highs. And by the time we get up there, it could be in close confluence with the top of the pitchfork. Like if we do something, break up here, reject from the 786 just to come back down, hold the value area high as support, and then work your way up. That SFP into the top of the pitchfork could be a level where we drop, but ultimately I expect us to work our way up to the naked weekly point of control and the macro golden pocket. Okay, let me check the chat here. BTC is pumping a bit. Let me check BTC real quick. Honestly, guys, BTC coming today and breaking above the value area high of the range. And then we broke above it earlier today. Let me show you this. We broke above it. We came back down, back tested it as support, and it's holding as support. Now, I covered BTC in my live stream. I did a live stream about an hour and a half ago that got cut off because we had a bad lightning storm and my internet went out. But if you guys want to check the in-depth BTC analysis, I spent like over 30 minutes just covering BTC. But let me give you a short refresher of BTC, what I'm looking at right now. If we zoom out on, let's just zoom out onto the 4-hour chart. We have this bearish pitchfork. Let me hide this range. We have this bearish pitchfork that was pulled from the all-time highs down to, we took the liquidity of our range lows here, making a new range low at the time, and then we made a lower high into our 886. So those three pivot points are key pivot points of our corrective trend after finishing our 50% push to the upside. We pushed up from 74K all the way up to new all-time highs. This was a nice clean impulse to the upside. After any impulse finishes, you're expecting a bit of a corrective move. Now, in bullish scenarios, your corrective move is more of a flat correction, a flat range that happens. So far, that is what we are seeing. So we can look at pulling a pitchfork and following the key levels of the corrective move, and you can see this pitchfork has been very nicely respected, hovering around the midline, pushed up to the upper band, rejected the upper band, lost the midline, back tested his support a few times, worked our way down to the bottom band, ultimately losing the bottom band, even deviating below the pitchfork. But we were able to get back inside the pitchfork, back test that pitchfork to the dollar, confirming re-entry back within the pitchfork. Then we busted up above the midline. Let me zoom in onto the hourly chart so you can see this better. Busted above the midline, flipped the midline to support here, back tested, held it as support, flipped up to our upper band. Now our upper band held as resistance over the weekend and for like a week. You can see here, rejection, 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 rejection. Tried to get above it. We had a small deviation above it on a weekend, which is dangerous. And then we ended up losing it. More rejections in this area. So multiple tries at trying to get above it, rejected, came down to a local gold support level. And then we're able to hold that, break above that band, back test it, come up to the top of the pitchfork. So what I'm looking at overall is we are about to break out of a key bearish trend. This pitchfork has been a bearish trend, or corrective trend, since making a new all-time high. It's been kind of the guiding point of our corrective trend. Now you can see earlier last week, we tried to break above it. We kind of failed. We saw some, wicks above it, but really we failed. We corrected down and held the midline, which was acting as resistance through all of here, was now flipping to support. So that's a bullish sign. What was acting as resistance is now acting as support. Pushed up again, rejected again from the top of the pitchfork. And then yesterday we pushed down to backtest that band again. Backtested that band. It's also the point of control of our 14-day range of our last 2 weeks of price action. Point of control, pitchfork band. It held very nicely, showing that buyers are willing to step in at fair value and buy Bitcoin and long Bitcoin. And we are pushing up, trying to break out of the value area high right now. So what I'm looking for is if we can start to close daily candles above this pitchfork resistance here, I do think we're going to see a continuation up to take out at least our 110.6 highs, but possibly even the all-time highs, continuing up to much higher levels. If we do see another rejection and roll over here, then we probably are going to come down to the value area low of the range, which you can see is a nice confluence with the anchored VWAP from the all-time high. Okay. Tonka, thank you. I appreciate that, man. I'm smelling that July 1st low. Yeah, July 1st low. They could, let's see, where was that? Here. That's the 4th. Okay, this guy here, July 1st. Yeah, we could come down to 105. I do have a support level right below 105. There is a couple support levels before then, but if we look at, I marked these out in yesterday's YouTube video as well. So we have this low is the first low that I'm interested in taking along from, because it would be the value area low. We're near the value area high of the range right now, of our 2-week range. So if we do reject this general area, value area high or top of the pitchfork, then and we make our way back inside this volume profile, then we do have a high probability of rotating back down to the value area low. And by the time we rotate back down, our band could be in confluence with that general area. And because that is going to be the anchored VWAP of our, corrective trend, now that we're above it, it's going to be acting as support. When it was acting as resistance all through here, now it's going to be acting as support because the value area low is there. And then also if we do a Fibonacci pull of the lows of that July 1st to our highs, you can see our 786 Fibonacci retracement is at the bottom of the box. So that's the first level of support that I'd be interested in looking for a little bit of a long. And then if we take that out, yes, we do have some liquidity, a liquidity grab here into a naked monthly point of control and our 2-month long point of control of this 2-month range. Okay, let's see. Oh, 144 summer. Oh, you're talking about Solana. Okay, hey man, I really enjoy all your analysis. I've been learning a lot from them. Thanks. Israel Bonfim, thank you, man. I appreciate that comment, and I'm glad that you're learning. And hello from the United States, and it's awesome you're tuning in from Brazil. Shoulders just formed on the 15-minute chart. Inverted head and shoulders just formed on the 15-minute chart. Now, here's the thing with an inverted head and shoulders. An inverted head and shoulders is a bottom reversal pattern. So if you're going to follow patterns, that's great. I do follow patterns as well. I mean, you got to be careful with patterns because they are retail and, market makers like to mess with retail. But generally in a trend, if you're looking at a head and shoulders, all you're doing is you're in a downtrend, making lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs. Then you make your initial low into support. You come up to that general area. Generally, you want to see a break of the prior low. And then you reject that break of the prior low. And then now that you're breaking market structure, you're making a higher high. So now you're looking for a higher low to come in on the charts, generally towards the golden pocket. And if you bounce from that higher low, then you form that inverse head and shoulders, left shoulder, right head, right shoulder. And that is a bottom reversal pattern, right? And then you can see the bigger breakout, a change in market structure. Because you broke your high here, you had a higher high. Now you could be looking for a higher low, which creates the right shoulder, and then a change of market structure from bearish to bullish, right? So that's what you're looking for at an inverse head and shoulders. Well, the same thing with an Yeah, that's what you're looking for with an inverse head and shoulders. But after you've pumped a bit, if you're now looking for a little bit of an inverse head and shoulders, that's not a bottom reversal pattern. You're at the top of a pump. So looking for inverse head and shoulders is all fine and dandy, but generally you want to look for inverse head and shoulders at the bottom of moves, not at the top of moves. Yes, they do play out sometimes, but I would say it's generally a better rule of thumb to look for those at the correct areas. But if that's if that's working for you, I who am I to say what is working for you? And I'm not trying to like poo poo on your TA at all. So just want to let you know that there's no ill will there. Um, Crypto saw 250 Shaw 256. You love the pitchforks. I'm glad, man. The pitchforks for me have been a game changer. Really, especially for bigger swing trades and stuff. 4 hour chart. If we get a 1 and 4 hour close above this level, it validates. Yeah, I do think it does look like we are trying to continue this push to the upside. Like I think that really we want to see a daily close above like 109,450 ish. Because if we can close above 109,450, then we could see a continuation and a breakout of our bigger pitchfork, our bearish pitchfork. Solana. Yeah, we'll look at Solana. We currently have a Gartley, and that 106 carry area you're looking at is a good end point for it. Yes. So you're probably looking at the Gartley being something like, this here with a 106 and then breaking after seeing that bounce, breaking up there. Honestly, that 106, it just makes sense as far as market auction theory and volume profile trades go. If we do reject from this general area being the value area high and our pitchfork top, and we start to finally roll over, then yes, it just makes sense that we're eventually going to work our way down to the value area low. We rejected the overvalued. Now the market is going to test the undervalued portion, and this could hold as support, and then we could bust up. But generally, if you reject from overvalued, yes, sometimes you bounce from fair value, but generally you do come down to the undervalued portion. Um, thanks. Yes. Okay. We'll do ICP. We'll do Solana. I did XRP. We did Ethereum. What was that other one we were looking at? Sui, Solana, and ICP. So real quick on Solana. Solana has been in this bigger range. You can see this upper range here from the March 2024 highs. So you can see this area was March of 2024. We made some key highs in March of 2024. Since then, we've been in this bigger range. Well, with all the, Trump coin and stuff that was coming out, we busted above the value area high of the range, came up, back tested that value area high as support a couple times, overall held it as support and pushed up to make new all-time highs on Solana. But after kind of the euphoria of the meme coin wore off, you can see we came back down, tried to hold it as support, but once we lost it, we flushed back inside our volume profile. And once you're back inside your volume profile, just like I was just talking about on Bitcoin, you expect to move down to the point of control. And if the point of control doesn't hold, you expect to move down to value area low. And so you can see we flushed all the way back down. And we also had a bearish pitchfork we were looking at. This is an inside pitchfork. And let me hide this big range real quick here. So, once we were back inside the pitchfork, you can see here we bounced from the band, came back up to bearishly backtest. Let me get in here. So bounced from the band, but came back up, bearishly backtested now that we were inside the pitchfork, rejected, showing that we wanted to trade back with inside the pitchfork, kind of like a volume profile. If you fall back within the value area high, you'll backtest that value area high. If you confirm rejection, you'll move down to the next major target. So we moved down to the midline. Midline gave us a bounce pretty much all the way up to the top again, but we rejected again, so then we moved down to the next major support, the lower band. Now, the lower band also had a monthly level here at $96, and it was nice confluence. We saw a nice, strong buy reaction from there, was able to push through the midline. You can see here we pushed through the midline, back tested that midline here on lower time frames, confirmed a flip to support, and moved up to the upper band. Now, for a while, the upper band was holding as resistance, but then we were able to break above the upper band breaking above the pitchfork, holding the pitchfork for about 2 weeks as support now, flipping it to support, and then we broke up above the anchored VWAP from our all-time high. Once we were above the anchored VWAP, it tried to hold the support for a couple weeks, but we saw this is called like a failed auction type price action. So you're trying to break above your bearish trend, your bearish volume weighted trend. We got above it, but we had a range that formed that ultimately failed to break out in continuation, and then we broke underneath it. You can see once we broke underneath it, one back test, two back tests, you fail and reject on both those back tests, so now you're going to grind back down. And we didn't quite hit our major support area that I was looking at. That is going to be the value area low. We had a monthly level at 124, a fresh monthly level. We have a value area low of that macro range, that range that is pulled from the March 2024 highs. You can see the value area lows in here. And then we also had a golden pocket in there from these lows to this high, our golden pockets in there. So this is macro support between 124 and 120 is a macro support level where you could be looking for really nice long opportunity on Solana if we come back down there. And then of course now we even have the liquidity grab of these lows into that area of support. But if we look at our macro range, we are above the POC. Let me turn that back on. We are above the POC now, and we are holding for the past couple of weeks, we've been holding the POC as support. Well, when we pushed up in this three-wave corrective move, you can see here we had a three-wave corrective move to the upside coming up to our anchored VWAP, which is our bearish trend, guys. Remember, we tried to get above it here. We had a failed auction. Once we lost it, rejection once, rejection twice, rejection 3 times. So every time we're coming up to that anchored VWAP, we're rejecting and continuing the downtrend. Now, I am long on Solana from the point of control from about 144, 143 ish. It's 144. But I'm only looking for a long up to our local golden pocket. You can see if we take a golden pocket from the highs to the lows, that golden pocket was front ran because this low was created here. So we have not come up to test this golden pocket. It's a naked golden pocket. And on this push up that we made a couple weeks ago, let me get rid of this right here. We had hit the anchored VWAP, but if you look here, look at where that high is. It's right below this, right before the 618. So we did not actually hit the 618. So now we have a nice liquidity grab into our golden pocket that was not hit. So if the bearish trend, because we keep rejecting our bearish trend of the anchored VWAP, 1, 2, 3 rejections from the anchored VWAP, if we come up there again and just peek our head past it a little bit up to that golden pocket and we see a rejection, anytime you see a liquidity grab into a golden pocket, that's a great opportunity to look for a trade. Money flow is leaving on the daily time frame. So if we do see put in another lower high here, we reject, then we can actually work our way back down to that value area low that was front ran where all our major support is down here. So I am long on Solana looking for a full TP at this golden pocket between 164 and 166. And I will look to potentially flip short here to take all the way down to 124. But for now, we are holding the point of control of the range. We are able to flip it to support, flip our bullish trend anchored VWAP to support. You can see it's holding as support. Yes, there's wicks past it on the daily, but daily candle body closes of the last week or so above it. And I expect a continuation and a push back up to back test this, or to actually get up to this golden pocket. And then like, yes, more locally, we're just kind of ranging within a smaller range. I think I have that range on the charts. Let's turn off this macro range and let's come in here. Not that guy. I was just looking at the range of the past couple of weeks here, and you can see once again holding the point of control of that range. and we haven't quite, we're still having trouble breaking out of the value area high here. So 155 is some area where we could expect a little bit of a rejection. But ultimately, I think we're squeezing right now. Whether you want to call it a triangle here that we're kind of squeezing in, which is a continuation pattern, right? So we pumped coming into the triangle. You have your consolidation, which is a continuation consolidation, and you actually do have a higher probability to pump out of that. And so that's why I'm looking for a move up here. Also on some of the time frames, we were seeing some bullish signals here, like 8-hour money flows just now crossing up into the green here, excuse me, trying to cross up into the green. We did print a hidden bull div down here, and 4-hour chart. Yeah, the money flow is starting to come back down now, which is a bit concerning on some of these more intermediate time frames, and that means that this triangle could continue squeezing for a bit. We could just continue developing this for a bit more before seeing it mature enough to break out or break down. And I guess it's probably going to depend on what Bitcoin does as well. Okay, let me get back to the chat here. Andrew, you didn't miss the pitchfork video, man. I will make it. I will. Okay, so we did Ethereum, we did Solana. Let's go to ICP real quick here. Now, I don't think I've done TA on ICP in a long time. Rejected our lower high golden pocket, pulled from here to here, come up to that golden pocket, reject that golden pocket, and then of course now you're going to make new lows. But what this looks like to me is, yeah, I mean, obviously giant downtrend, right? And you started to find some bottoming formation in this area, whether you want to call this an accumulation range in here. And now we had some accumulation towards the bottom. We had our expansion up. Did we take out those local highs? We didn't. Nope. Let me get rid of that guy. Okay, and after coming up here, we have made what looks to be a 3-wave corrective move down. Let's actually look at this. Trend-based Fibonacci extension, highs to lows to highs. Yes, okay. So check this out. We're hitting into our 1-to-1 fib. So after an impulse to the upside, we had our nice impulse to the upside here. After that impulse finishes, you're looking for a corrective move. Now that corrective move could be a bigger ABC correction to the downside where it can go really deep. It can actually go all the way to the 786. So let's pull a fib from the lows to the highs. Let's go to our JC pocket. Now, here's the thing, guys. That move is more than a 30% drop to the downside. So we have to take this fib and we have to click fib based off log scale because we're in log scale. So it looks like, where did we bounce from our 786? You can see our 786 here. Let's do that. Let's turn it back on log scale. So our 786 was in perfect confluence with our 1-to-1 correction target. After the impulse finishes, which is this circled guy here, impulse, and then you get a correction. Now, if this is a wave 1, after seeing a large downtrend end, and you impulse up breaking market structure, right? We broke market structure, making higher high finally. So your impulse, you have your first impulse to the upside in a potential huge 5-wave impulse up, to much higher targets, possibly up to take out these highs up here. But if you're looking at ICP, it is bottoming. We bottomed out, we impulsed up, and now after your wave 1 of an impulse, you're looking for a corrective move in a wave 2. Your wave 2 generally retraces to the golden pocket to the 786. And on altcoins, it retraces far more to the 786. So, and we also had our A, B, C corrective target being the 786. So now we are finding a bottom, starting to find a bottom here at our 786. I would say ICP on the weekly time frame looks pretty dang bullish. And we even have some very slight bull divs here. Higher highs on the price action, lower highs on the momentum waves. And we're even getting a nice trigger wave that could be bottoming here. Let's zoom in onto, we'll zoom in onto the daily in a second, but so at least on the weekly time frame, it does look like we could get a bigger move up here, a big push up. Now, if this is a wave 1 and this is a wave 2, then you expect your wave 3 to be long and aggressive to the upside. So ICP could explode to the upside. It doesn't have to be a wave 3. We could, because we did retrace so deep to the 786, we could get a double 1-2 impulse, which in the long run is more bullish, but this would be a 1-2, and then we could get another 1-2, and then your big third wave pushing up here. Then, of course, you get a 4-5, 4-5 afterwards. But ICP on the weekly looks pretty good here. Let's look at, so it looks like this general area was a range that we were looking at that we broke down from, so we can pull a volume profile. Here. Okay, that value area low is going to be pretty important. And let's mark out some levels here. So we do have a weekly support down below us. That's going to be your weekly level of support down below. No real weekly levels to the upside except for this guy right here. Of course, there's going to be a fair value gap in here, which is nice to see into a weekly. If we come up there, fill that fair value gap that's right here into a weekly. And then, I mean, your next weekly is going to be up here. We won't mark that out quite yet. Let's get rid of that guy. And then let's pull our golden pocket from our last weekly high to our weekly low. Golden pocket, but let's look at that drop. If that's more than a 30% drop, we need to turn it on log scale. Yeah, 73% drop to the downside. So we'll take this golden pocket, we'll come in here, we'll put based off log scale. That is going to be your golden pocket lower high, which happens to be coming in right around the value area low of our previous range. Let's zoom in on the daily and see if we can't get that range a little bit more precise. So I would say to this guy right here is where we started to break the range down, and we're going to pull this to these highs here. Okay, value area low is about 842 or 848, and then, you know, your golden pocket is a little bit higher, unfortunately. And what I'd be looking at right now is, well, let's zoom out first before we do that. Let's go on to the monthly and let's see if we have any monthly levels. Just, no real monthly levels. We're forming a bottoming range though at our major targets being the 1-to-1 correction and our macro 786. You can see we're starting to form a range here at the bottom. So we can play this range until it breaks. Here's our range right now. Okay, after coming down into our 1-to-1 target and our macro 786 and finally touching them, we started bottoming out. We actually touched it here, came back down, back tested it here, held it. But you can see now after back testing that 1-to-1 target, broke back inside the volume profile, flipped the value area low to support, and we're just trading between the POC and the value area low. But every time we come down to this value area low, it's holding a support, and we're getting bullish reactions there. So eventually, if this keeps holding, we expect to break up here, at least up to the value area high. If we take a Fibonacci here from the highs of our small range to our lows, yeah, golden pocket's going to be there. So that is going to be, and let me turn that off log scale. Okay, yeah, golden pocket is going to be there. And that is going to be our next major area. So like right now, a good opportunity even for a lower leverage long position would be, you know, why is that so deep? You could put your stop below your value area low, because if you start to break all these lows here, you're probably going to come down and hit that weekly at least. And you could at least be looking to bring it up to the value area high golden pocket area. That's a 3.86 risk to reward ratio. That looks pretty good to me, even if you opened it right now. But you could even zoom in. You could even wait until we came back down to that value area low again. And then, of course, you could put your stop below that local low. You could be targeting this high. That's not so good of a risk reward ratio. But it does look like ICP is starting to find a more macro bottom here, and it is trading within this volume profile. Now, I would at least be looking for some sort of TP in this general area, with it being the value area high of our daily range in confluence with our macro daily golden pocket from the last daily high to the daily low. But other than that, I mean, there's going to be levels in between here. You know, your point of control. If we zoom in, let's go to the 2-hour chart and let's just look at what's happening here. Yeah, okay, so your point of control is going to be your very, very local golden pocket. So there is a potential that we could keep bouncing between gold, POC, value area low, POC, value area low. You can see right here, we tried to get above the POC, back tested as support and came up and made new highs, but after making those highs, we fell below it. So this is kind of like a failed auction breakout of the point of control. But now we've been bouncing from value area low again, so we could come up here and reject locally here and roll back down to value area low. Let's look at our money flow. Money flow is still curving to the upside on the 2-hour, but we don't really have bull divs. 1 hour here. Money flow looks pretty decent on the 1 hour. Okay, 4 hour. We did print some. Now, NAMI, if any of you guys are familiar with NAMI, the hidden bull and hidden bear div signals on NAMI are very, very strong signals. So we printed a hidden bull div signal coming into the value area low again here on NAMI. Money flow does not look the best, though. It's coming out here. Now, that hidden bull div did give us a local push up here. I think that let's look at the much lower time frames, 15-minute and more. Yeah, we are forming some 15-minute bear div here. Higher highs in the price action, lower highs here, and our money flow is draining out of the asset. Bear div as well here, you know. So there is a potential that we could roll down to the VWAP. Now that we're above the VWAP, it could hold as support and we could continue up here. But if we lose the VWAP, we did front run the value area low with this low here. And with money flow leaving on some of the more intermediate time frames, there's a possibility that we could rotate back down to that value area low, maybe even grabbing the liquidity from this low here. But overall, ICP looks pretty good. It looks to be bottoming on more macro. Like on spot, if we come down to 468 again, I would be buying, honestly. And then I would be looking, even buying 468 and taking it to 496 to 498, really 498 to like $5 up here where your POC is. But if you break this POC to the upside again, you know, if you can break this local golden pocket and flip it, then I think you're going to work your way all the way up to the value area high in your more macro daily golden pocket. Yes, you got to look for liquidity grabs. All of these are semi-equal highs where you could see that grab of liquidity. Actually, what I would expect, let me zoom out a bit here. So what I would expect, because we have semi-equal highs here. So if we're able to not reject here and not roll over, if we can break above the point of control, excuse me, sorry about that. If we can break above the point of control, then we're probably going to see that liquidity grab of these highs only to come back down, bullishly backtesting the point of control and then working our way up to this area. So a lot of nice trading opportunities here on ICP, actually. It looks pretty good. Like you could look for a short from here, only if you're coming into it with bear divs. If not, I would be looking for a short from these semi-equal highs here just to take down to the point of control, or your TP1 would be the point of control. And then if we start to bounce from here, you could look for a long and look to take it up to the value area high. Now, this is all very, very local price action still. This is just very local price action in a much bigger bottoming formation that has been happening here on the daily time frame, where we could see a lot more break to the upside, a lot more of continuation to the upside. Um, yeah, it looks pretty good. Let's look at our daily time frame. Yeah, I do not like, guys, how our money flow is starting to curve out here again on the daily time frame. It is starting to curve out. So what this tells me is, okay, so we have that guy there. Unfortunately, we would have to break these lows to get a bull div. So you don't want to see that. You don't want to lose this value area low again. Or maybe just a liquidity grab of those lows, but that's it. Let's do this. Let's pull a golden pocket from these lows to our highs here. Okay, that's only a 20% move to the upside. So yeah, your golden pocket is resting right below those semi-equal lows, all these lows right in here. So you could drop to that golden pocket and bounce, but I don't like it so much. Let's see if our 786, yeah, and your 786 is below that weekly. So unfortunately, that's kind of a, crappy situation there. No confluence there. Um, let's look at our 2-day chart. Okay, I do like this. Look at this overall more macroly. We've hit into our macro 1-to-1 fib target. We've hit into our 786 retrace after bottoming out in the bear market. And money flow has been steadily curving to the upside on the 2-day as this range is forming here. We did see the bull divs coming into this. Higher lows on the price action, lower lows on the momentum waves coming into your key support. Like buying 433 would have been, if I was paying attention to that, I would have bought the crap out of that and longed the crap out of that and still be holding it, looking to push up for a break in structure. We still haven't even come out and taken out these internal highs here and broke structure at 637. So overall, ICP is looking like it does want to pop, but because our money flow on the daily is coming out a little bit, maybe we're going to come back down and test our value area low one more time. Or at least, yeah, I would say the value area low. Like if we're really going to see money flow starting to come out here, but everything, all indications are that this thing is going to want to come up to like the 498 to $5 area, and then even do like we could do this right now. Come down here, hit this, and then come up here. That would actually be a nicer trade because if you could grab the liquidity of these semi-equal lows down here and then push up to that area, and then of course you want to break this $5 area and then continue working your way up to the 550 to whatever that was. Let's see here. This area, yeah, 550 to like 560. So I hope that helps a little bit for ICP. Okay, we currently have a Gartley. Yep, I read that one. Okay, Sui. Yep, we'll do Sui. Let me do this. I want to set an alert. Okay, so Sui, I did buy some spot on Sui a couple weeks ago, actually. Um, Sui is looking a lot more bullish than a lot of the other altcoins, but you can see, we pushed up to new all-time highs after seeing, and this was clearly an impulse, a very nice impulse, here on Sui. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, pushing up in a 5-wave corrective move. Then we came down in a higher low correction here. And then again, another nice 5-wave impulse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. After an impulse finishes, you're expecting a corrective move. So and this could be, because this impulse was so aggressive here, what you're looking for in your move down You could be looking for another, this whole big corrective thing not to be over. But your B wave up, the only problem with that is this needed to be a 3-wave move, not a 5-wave move. So a little bit of a correction, a little bit of a, if this was a 5-3-5, that's your bigger ABC coming down to the golden pocket from this area. So, that 117 to 109 area could be a very, very nice golden pocket. Actually, let's look at this. Let's pull that golden pocket over. Yeah, I mean it's in your area for the corrective target. So if this was obviously clearly an impulse to the upside here. Very nice impulse. After an impulse finishes, you're looking for a corrective move. Your most common type of correction is just a 3-wave zigzag correction down to your golden pocket. And that A, B, C, your C wave generally comes to the 1-to-1 to the 1.236. So it's in the general area. So it would be another super swing long opportunity for me if we did come down there. But as far as more local price action goes, you can see we were kind of in a range in this area. This is our range that we've been looking at since November of 2024. So for the past 7 months, yeah, about 7 months, 8 months or so. And but this was a nice 5-wave impulse. We were looking at this ahead of time, and actually we longed this guy right here in a live stream live, and then we looked to take profit exactly at the 1.618. So we pulled this like this, and we put on our wave 5 targets, and we took profit exactly in that area between the 1.236 and the 1.618. Longed here, took profit here. Anyways, 5-wave impulse completed on the daily time frame, and then you look for a corrective move. Now, in your corrective move, you generally, once again, will correct down to the golden pocket, right? So if we go from the lows of the impulse to the highs of the impulse, we turn on our golden pocket, and we also have to put that on log scale here. You can see where was our golden pocket, right where we bounced from. And that's why it was a spot buy. We also had, some imbalance in here. We had a bunch of stuff in this area, but this was our spot buy. And that's why I bought at that 240 area when we came down there. We were correcting in this descending channel. You can see we had our high, we had our lower high, and then we had our initial low here. So we did come down to the bottom of the channel. We got a nice bounce up to the midline. Midline rejected us, and then that's when we finally came down to our golden pocket. But the nice strong reaction we saw from this golden pocket and then re-entering back within this channel tells me that Sui does want to overall continue to the upside. These internal highs, once again, into your midline would be nice to see. Now, I will say this. Let me zoom in on this a bit. Let's go to the 4-hour chart. We did reject from our golden pocket, another golden pocket. Guys, just remember, golden pockets are, found in nature. They're found in our psyche. They're found everywhere. But if we look at from our big last highs to our lows here, where did we reject? And let me just put on golden pocket here. You can see our golden pocket was in confluence with our anchored VWAP. Now, this anchored VWAP was our bullish trend from the lows of the impulse. You can see last time we came down to the anchor VWAP, we bounced very strong. Worked our way quite a ways from the anchor VWAP. Bounced from the anchor VWAP, bounced from the anchor VWAP. But then once we lost it, we rejected. It turned into resistance. We rejected from it. Then we came up a second time and rejected from it. Now that anchored VWAP was also in confluence with a lower high golden pocket, meaning that this bearish trend could let's do this. Bearish trend that we're seeing could overall not be done, and we could roll over and continue down. And so that rejection was, I took profit exactly at 307 on the long, and I longed this general area, and I bought some spot, and then I took profit up there. But I am looking, you can see I have a local box of support here that I'm looking at potentially taking a long position on. And let's look at our ranges. Let's go here. Okay, this was our upper range. This was our, we were ranging in here for a bit. We broke it to the downside. So not that range is not going to be super relevant for now. But we do have a lower range that we're in right now. And we could look at that lower range here. Actually, we could even pull it to like this guy here. Yeah, we're just trading within this range. So you can see the value area low of our range is also at our golden pocket. And that is going to be our key area of support. We tried to break out above the value area high, but we rejected from our local resistance. And then we fell back in our volume profile. We back tested our volume profile, rejected it. So now, honestly, we have a high probability of working our way down to the point of control at 279, pretty much 280. 280. If we lose 280, then we're probably going to come all the way back down to your value area low at 259. But what I would be saying here more locally, let me get rid of, let's do this. Yeah, we haven't even hit that golden pocket yet. So 280 is going to be your local support. You can see of the last move up. And because we have not, because we rejected after re-entering back within the volume profile, we came up for a bearish backtest and we rejected here. We actually do have a higher probability to grind our way down to 280. Now, this could hold and we could break up and continue breaking up to take out these highs. We don't know yet, but if this could be a nice area, if we're building bull divs as we're coming into 280, you could look for a long from there. But if we lose 280, ultimately, this trend here of higher lows, I think I have this on the chart. Let me go ahead and scroll up here. Let me get rid of that. And let me just get rid of some of these golden pockets I just created. Here we go. No, that's our much bigger channel. It's this channel here. So we're in this little trend just from these pivots here. I'm not taking into account this low. This was kind of a more macro bottom low. But if we lose, you can see by the time we work our way down, which once again, guys, rejecting from the midline right now of this trend. So we could work our way down to where, if it takes some time, the bottom of this channel is going to be in confluence with that golden pocket and that POC, where if the trend is going to continue, we'll bounce and ultimately come up. And you can see that the value area high is also going to be in confluence with the midline. So I'd be looking at 280 and then the value area high at 296. But I think that we probably are going to work down. You can see money flows crossing over into the red on the 4-hour here. We did have bear divs coming into your golden pocket. Lower highs here, higher highs here, into your key anchored VWAP, your key golden pocket. You're rejecting and you're falling back within this volume profile. So the highest probability is to work your way down to 280. And if 280 doesn't hold, you're going to work your way down to like that 260, 259, 260 area. I think I would look to attempt a long at this local golden pocket. Let me go ahead and do this, and we'll just set an alert around here. Okay. Yeah, but other than that, guys, it's not rejecting from this golden pocket was bad, and the anchored VWAP. That shows that what used to be acting as support is now flipping into resistance, and we could keep dropping at least down to our local golden pocket. Now, we don't want to lose this big green box area here. Honestly, if we're going to bounce, we want to see this hold and then continue to break up, and we want to break these highs, these internal highs at 316. And then in that case, we could come up to our next major resistance, which is our macro golden pocket of this push down in confluence with the naked weekly point of control, our upper range point of control, and the macro value area high. And that macro value area high I'm talking about is of this much bigger range. This bigger range, you can see that macro value area high coming in there. close by. Now it's dropped a little bit. Okay, yeah, TMAC, I think it is. I'm glad that that ICP helped you. That ICP stuff helped you. Okay, guys, I do have to leave in about 10. Oh, shoot, yeah, 10 minutes here. I have to leave here in about 10 minutes. Sui, okay. I did share my spot setup on my YouTube channel ahead of time, and I did talk about it in Jason's group ahead of time as well. I did. Um, I talked about it honestly like weeks ahead of time. If you go watch the YouTube videos, in let's see, the June like 17th through like the 21st or so, 21st, 22nd, you can see that I was looking for that area. Okay, Ave was the next one. Okay, let's look at Aave real quick here. I feel like I'm missing one. Okay, we did Ethereum, we did Solana, we did ICP, XRP. Aave is the next one, right? Aave, and then if I have time, I'll go into Chainlink. Chainlink, I make daily updates in my videos on, and I made an update on Chainlink yesterday. But we can go into that if we have time. Let's see. Okay, Aave. Aave was in this bottoming accumulation range. Then we broke out to the upside, but uh, broke this nice descending channel to the upside, hitting into our golden pocket. Let me get rid of this channel now. So hit into our golden pocket from the last big daily lows to the highs. Let's get rid of that. Let me actually just zoom out a bit here and make sure these levels are still fresh. So that is not fresh anymore. Yeah, it was our weekly level that we bounced from and our golden pocket overall. So both of those are old. You know what? I think I have a better. Guess not. Okay, this needs to go. I mean, let's might as well just get rid of all of this here. Why do I keep doing that? This looks pretty good here. We got a nice possible bottoming pitchfork setup here. And let's look at that as okay, yeah, this could work here. Okay, and let's go onto the daily chart. I hate how TradingView does this. There we go. So it looks like, we dumped to the bottom of the pitchfork, worked our way back inside the pitchfork, rejected from the lower band, was ultimately able to get above it, kind of started to reject from the midline, dropped to the lower band, back tested it as support, and now we're pushing up. We're trying to break above this area here. this pitchfork midline. Oh, Jason, what is up, man? God bless you, Jason. Thank you so much. This guy is so giving with his super chats and just with what he does for his community. Jason, it's so awesome to see you. Super grateful for you, man. And thank you for catching the stream. I've been streaming. So I started streaming at noon and we had a really bad thunderstorm. The internet went out. I attempted a second one with my hotspot. It wasn't working. And then I got the internet back up and I've been streaming since like 2:15. So and it's 3:47 my time. So I was just about to end in about 10 minutes, but thank you for joining, man. We've covered a lot today. We just covered a lot of different altcoins. Okay, guys. So Aave is now in a bullish trend. You know, we broke out of this accumulation range here, breaking into a bullish trend. And let's just look at how this is going here. Let's do this here and just checking one thing, because if this is more than a 30% dump, yeah, that's a 71% dump to the downside. So when you set that fibs, you really want to come in here and use based off log scale. If it's more than 100% pump to the upside, you want to put that off based off log scale if you are in the log chart. And then if it's more than a 30% dump to the downside, you generally want to use a log scale here. So we did come up to that local 786 area, rejecting from that local 786, but we are making a higher low. I mean, flipping, let's just get rid of this for a second. Flipping this resistance, the lower band here was acting as resistance. We broke above it with a nice volume imbalance candle here, kind of chopped around the midline for a bit. But when we dropped, we back tested that band now as support, and we're pushing back up to your midline again. So the key here on Aave on higher time frames is going to be to get above this midline. And very, very locally, you can see here on the daily chart, we've been wicking up past it here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wicks here on the daily time frame, but we haven't been able to close any daily candle bodies above that midline. Today is the first day where we could close a candle body above that midline. And to me, that would be a bullish sign that we are going to continue a bit higher. You could even look at the fib here. Are we hitting into, now let's make that a regular golden pocket. We are above our local golden pocket. So I do think that we could continue up to the 786 locally. We do have an internal liquidity grab of these highs here that we need to watch. Actually, it looks like we just did that. Yeah. So be careful, guys, because we are SFPing these internal highs here, and we could see a drop. If we start to lose that midline now, that would be a bad sign for me after grabbing this internal liquidity. Yeah, God bless you too, Jason. I appreciate you, man. And Lu Dong, thank you for that nice comment. I really appreciate that as well. Tiamak, appreciate that comment too. Yeah, guys. So liquidity grab here, but if we can close our daily candle above this midline here, which is going to be coming in around 288.50-ish, then I expect to move at least up to 301. But honestly, we're probably going to continue breaking up after seeing a more macro higher low, bouncing into our key pitchfork support here. If we break this midline, I expect follow through, and we could probably follow up. Let's go zoom out a bit here. We are potentially creating some bear divs on the 4-hour now. Higher highs, lower highs here. Same on NAMI. But NAMI did print that hidden bull div signal, which NAMI, it's very strong on that higher low there. So it's really going to depend on whether we confirm a swing failure pattern here. It doesn't look like it. Money flow is still looking pretty good here on the charts. And one drive of bear div on the 4-hour is not going to overpower this bullish money flow. So I would say continuation looks more likely on Aave. Let's look at our daily time frame. Oh, okay. Money flow is starting to come out again, similar to Bitcoin, guys. We do need to watch for this. So remember we talked about with Bitcoin, as we were forming these higher highs here, we were forming lower highs in the momentum waves, confirming those bear divs. But those bear divs are not going to play out until your money flow tops out here. Once our money flow topped out, that's when we got our big drop to the downside. But if money flow continues to drain out of the asset as you form a range in this area, you could be expecting a bit of a distribution pattern. Very, very similar to what Bitcoin did in this area here. Higher highs here, lower highs here, but our money flow was coming up until we hit that first 108K all-time high. After that, we got a little bit of a retrace to the bottom of the range, took liquidity at the bottom of the range and pushed up again. But even though we made a new all-time high, money flow continued to drain out of the asset, creating more bear divs, and then that ultimately ended in a distribution to the downside. I'm actually worried about that, Jason. If you're in here still, I'm actually a little bit worried about that with this 60-day range, the 60 to 61-day range. It does look very similar as far as the higher highs coming into the initial part. We did see a triple drive of bear div, but money flow was looking so strong that we don't expect those bear divs to play out until money flow starts to top out. Well, we did get money flow topping out on that lower high here, and money flow has been draining out of the asset on the daily. If we do, I am expecting one more high though. If this is a tap one, we need a tap two, and then we could either see a tap three and a third lower high or a tap three like that in a model one, not a model two, but a model one. But it is a bit concerning that money flow is draining out here like this as the range is forming. This range was 101 days long. As the range was forming, money flow was leaving the asset and we ended up distributing down. And the reason why I'm worried is just because if we look on the weekly time frame, we did have a very, very clear 5-wave weekly impulse. Our wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, wave 5. After a 5-wave impulse completes, you're expecting a bigger correction. Now, in the most bullish scenario, let me get rid of a lot of these real quick here. In your most bullish scenario, after that 5-wave impulse completes, you're looking for a flat correction and then a continuation up. And we did see a push down here. We came up, we took out our all-time highs in a B flat, and now we could potentially rotate all the way back down to take out your A lows more macroly. That is something we're looking at, but the weekly money flow does not support that yet. Now, once we break out and get another tap up here, and then maybe see a lower distribution up here, then we could complete our bigger correction, which after a 3-year impulse to the upside, you are going to be expecting a bit of a longer correction here before continuing that overall more macro trend. Actually, we can look at this. Let's pull trend-based Fibonacci, time-based Fibonacci. Here we go, and we'll go from the bottom. That's not the bottom, but all right, so generally your minimum corrective target is going to be all the way in November. It could last, as long as March of 2027. I don't think it's going to last nearly that long. But after your impulse finishes, your corrective move generally goes at least minimum to the 382, and then you continue that. So there's a possibility that we could do this and then come down here, taking out those lows after the 382, and then continue our super cycle. It's not as far as the 4-year cycle goes, it's not the most likely. The 4-year cycle says we're going to top out at towards the end of the year and see that bigger rotation down. Oh yes, Link. I have 5 minutes left, guys. We'll look at Link real quick. I'm sorry, guys. I got a little bit sidetracked. Where did Link go? Let me turn off my levels. Okay, so Link, we were looking at a few things for Link. Let me zoom in onto the daily chart. We have our range, our daily range that we've been looking at on Chainlink. We deviated the value. We busted above the value area high of the range. We tried to flip it to support. We could not flip it to support. We broke back within it, bearishly backtested it, worked our way down to point of control, tried to hold that, ultimately losing it and coming down. And this key area was an area where we were looking at spot buys, because if we look at our golden pockets, and I do still think there's a potential we could come down there, guys. If we look at a golden pocket pull from our bear market lows up to our cycle highs, and we turn on that area, let's see, it was not that one. Yeah, excuse me, it is that golden pocket. So you look at that golden pocket on the move down we made a couple months ago. in this area here. We had front run our golden pocket just very, very slightly from the bear market lows to our cycle highs. We had come all the way down and front run our golden pocket. We also front ran this liquidity grab very, very slightly of these lows. So that liquidity grab into that golden pocket would have been super nice. That would have been an absolute spot long opportunity for me to push up to much higher levels. Now, as far as more local price action goes, guys, we are back within our daily range here. You can see we deviated the value area low, broke back in it. We saw a nice clear 5-wave impulse, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-wave impulse to the upside, and then we corrected down to our value area low and we wicked to the 886. This was an 886 tap, which unfortunately does mean your overall trend could continue. And that's why I do still think we could come down to that area because we'd front run it. And anytime you're in a larger downtrend, you get a corrective move making a lower high, and then you hit the 886. Yes, you might see a bounce, but you do have a higher probability to take out the lows. But anyways, as far as just more basic, not Elliott wave stuff, as far as more basic stuff goes, we do volume profile trading. We've broken back with inside the volume profile. We back tested the value area low. We held it as support, and now we have a higher probability of working our way up to this point of control. I'm actually long on Chainlink from this back test of this point of control at 13.1, and I'm looking to take profit here at 14.3-ish because our point of control of our more macro range is there. Now, let's zoom in onto the 4-hour chart. You can see that we also have a lower range. So we have ranges within ranges within ranges. And this range is about 2 weeks long. We have been chopping between the value area low and the value area high. If you guys watched my YouTube video yesterday, I covered this pretty much in depth here. Reject value area high, come to value area low. Push up liquidity. Then we came down. We did not take our local liquidity, but we did bounce from value area low. We came up again, finally hitting into that purple box. If you guys watched yesterday's YouTube video, I had a purple box of resistance that was up here for about 2 weeks between 14 and 14.2. And we were looking to come up and actually hit this anchored VWAP. This anchored VWAP is our volume weighted trend from our move from the bottom. So it was acting as support during the impulse, and then we lost it during this corrective move, and you can see ever since then it's been acting as resistance. So we can expect it to act as resistance. We're actually coming up to it again right now. I expect to move a little bit higher to this golden pocket because we have some internal liquidity of these little range highs of our 2-week range. Our range highs are resting up an SFP into our macro point of control. Would be nice to see. I also think that we had a golden pocket there. Not our golden pocket. Okay, we've already hit into the golden pocket. There was something else there. Let's... Naked daily's just above it. That's right. We had a naked daily point of control just above it. And that general area is the next area I'm looking for potential rejection is from this point of control. And if we do break above this point of control, then I do expect us to eventually move up to that golden pocket that is above us. We do have that liquidity grab that's just above it, but we have some key resistance up in this area. Daily level up there. And I do believe there was a naked daily point of control up there as well. Yeah, naked daily point of control very close by. And that naked weekly. Pretty much the same area. Okay, guys, I really do got to get going. Been streaming for a couple hours. So thank you for tuning in. I will be live again on Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. If you guys want to join in, we can cover some alts again. We can cover Bitcoin and just keep going on this. Thank you all for tuning in. Jason, thank you so much for tuning in. If you're still here, I appreciate all you do for me, man.